Morning, everyone. So I wanted to talk about anxiety in the morning because I know pretty much everyone suffers with this, and I suffer with this as well periodically. So one of the best tips that I can give is a simple one again, and it's actually really challenging. I've been practicing it for a long time now. There's even a lady online who's a coach in OCD who recommends this. And that's basically, getting out of bed as quick as you can and not ruminating. Because when you wake up in the morning and all your, negative thoughts comes and your fears and your worries and intrusive thoughts, the worst thing to do is to stay in bed and ruminate, or try and go back to sleep. Because when you do that, you get stuck, I find, in a negative cycle. So it's really the discipline of getting out of bed as quick as you can when you wake up. And this is also a good practice for everyone, even people that don't suffer with anxiety or intrusive thoughts or mental health. And it's something that actually can make the rest of your day go a lot better, or you increase the chances. And you're also teaching your body that you can handle fear, tolerate discomfort. So getting out of bed, I just tried another tip that guy said. I just had a cold shower. So, like getting up out of bed, having a cold shower. Also adding my tip as well, I find it's good to leave the house as soon as you can. Obviously today, I'm doing this live stream before I head out. So this exercise alone can really reduce a lot of anxiety. It will increase your confidence. Now, obviously, you've got to practice it. You've got to persevere, because for a lot of people that have been suffering with anxiety throughout, all times of the day, especially in the morning, I think the reason why it hits people hard in the morning is because obviously we're sleeping, and as soon as we wake up, I think there's even a science to this. Our brain comes at us, our mind comes at us, especially with the things that we don't want to think about, the things that we're worrying about, or things that we're intrusive thoughts. So by getting up and getting out of bed, you're kind of teaching your body and your mind that you can handle your anxiety. And if you stick to it over time, you'll start to overcome your anxiety. You'll start to wake up in a better mood. And that's where a lot of people get stuck, and that's where I've got stuck myself. So I know it from experience, where they wake up and the anxiety, the dread, the horrible feelings, the panic, and that, if you stay in that for too long and you don't get your body moving, it gets you in a low mood. You start feeling down, you start feeling depressed, you start feeling like you're going to be stuck, and all these things do is keep you in that vicious cycle. So this is a really good it is a really good practice, and again, it's a simple one, but I think it's one of the most difficult, because again, depending on what you're going through in your life, especially with things like depression, anxiety, and isolation, this is where a lot of people start to tell themselves that they don't feel like being around people. So for me, getting up and getting out of bed, even though you might sometimes you feel awful, we all go through it, you will eventually see the payoff later on. You will eventually overcome anxiety. You will get to a better place mentally and emotionally. Again, I like to. It's good hearing other people online, that have come to similar conclusions that I have through experience of working through their own anxieties and teaching other people. And they've also said one of the hardest parts about anxiety, it's not just the thoughts and the intrusive thoughts, but it's the emotions that it triggers. So like financial stress, relationships, worries, whatever. OCD. When we feel bad or ashamed, or guilt, or doubt, or uncertainty, this is what can affect mood. So learning to teach yourself how to behave in a positive way is how you get out of this in the long run. But obviously, everyone's at different stages. It's a journey, so it's one day at a time. How you doing, population? So that's a really good exercise. Little things like that, getting out of bed, showering, putting on clean clothes, and then setting some activities to do throughout the day, whether that's, going to the gym, whether that's work, whether that's meeting up with friends or family, all these kind of positive behavioral things that, that make up most of our lives. What did you say? What's my question? What business do you do? I'm a coach, I'm a mentor, so I mentor people. Mentor people on how to build confidence, how to face fears, discipline, accountability, and all those things. You new to the channel? Appreciate you coming on. So, not only, it's almost like you're breaking two patterns. So if you've been in a habit of waking up in the morning and ruminating, for hours in bed, or having panic attacks, all these things, that's kind of like mental prison that people get stuck in, and I've been there myself. So when you get out of bed, so when you get out of bed, you're also, you're breaking that habit. And as I said, it takes time, but if you stick to it, you will start to see that you're going to start feeling differently. Because that is a true saying that's been said before, a simple one. Sorry about that alarm. Alarm's going off outside somewhere, not on the street. So, if you want to see changes in, the way that you feel or the way that you think, you've got to change certain patterns of behavior, because your behavior does affect your thoughts and your mood. So yeah, I've done other videos as well on the channel somewhere. I've done videos on how to deal with morning anxiety, and another reason why I'm passionate about this subject and I like to share it, because many years ago when I was in my 20s, I used to suffer with really bad panic attacks in the morning, and I didn't really know how to deal with it back then, and I used to just think, well, I kind of knew that other people had it, but I didn't know it was as common, and I used to get stuck for hours and sometimes for days. I couldn't leave the house because, waking up in the morning, I'd get stuck in that cycle, and then years later, I found the courage and the motivation to start to face my fears and get out of bed and leave the house. So all these things, waking up, getting up as soon as you can, taking a shower, leaving the house, it's like, if you can do that, you may not think that's a big deal, but you're already succeeding. You're still gonna obviously have some anxiety throughout the day if you're really struggling, but that behavior is eventually going to help you to recover in the long run, because these things are usually not a quick fix. Answer your question. Have you ever given any sort of entrance exam in India, in the north? Every single step of life there's an exam to clear. It's a job or education entrance exam. Scores are the key. I kind of understand your question, not fully. Not in that type of way, but for my clients with the coaching, I do accountability. I do get them to monitor their progress, and I also monitor it. And some of the ways that I do that is by looking at the things that they couldn't do at the start, like certain fears that they got, like socializing or gym, and then I get them to be mindful of the progress that they've made. And you can use a scoring system, so that's a good point. Oh no, I'm not a personality coach. More of a confidence coach in that area, confidence and managing fear and anxiety, discipline. So yeah, as I said, you'll start to notice that obviously we've all got patterns and habits. Sometimes we don't realize it. So we got like patterns of waking up in the morning, snoozing, or ruminating on the same thoughts that we get stuck in, and then certain other patterns. So this is really about learning to change behaviors. They do a lot of this I'm learning in CBT, challenging beliefs. So some people would have the belief that they're always going to wake up in the morning not feeling good or feeling down or feeling anxious. And that's a belief that you can challenge and change by being aware of the belief that, oh, I'm always going to be anxious in the morning, or I've always been this way, and I can't change it. And then challenging that and saying, let's change some of my behaviors, like I said. So if you found yourself for many years waking up and procrastinating or ruminating, or combination of all these things, and then putting things off, that behavior fuels anxiety, intrusive thoughts, and so forth. So that's another really good tip. And like I said yesterday, this is part of the daily routine. Getting up in the morning and having a bit more of a plan of how your day's going to go, having tasks to do. And when you do that again, you're a lot more present. And that's really what it's about. It's about getting out of being present is kind of the answer to most of the mental problems and anxiety. It's obviously not always easy to be present for all of us with our minds, but trying to be as present as you can through certain practices and habits, like getting up and then going to the gym, really helps as well. So these are the things that have really helped me. These are the things that are helping a lot of my clients, and I'm trying to share with more people, teach more people. At some point in the future, I'll probably do a program on this. Well, like I said, what things that help to ease panic attacks? Again, I can't guarantee this will work for you, but it probably likely will, is getting out of bed as soon as you wake up, taking a shower and leaving the house. But obviously I'd say if you're having a bad panic attack, it's good to call someone. It's good to, don't be on your own. Speak to a friend, family member. And, it's learning how to calm down. So I'll say a combination of all, getting out of bed. Because one of the worst things that I've found, if you're having an anxiety attack or worrying, is to stay in contradictory kind of to what you think. Staying in one place makes it worse. That's what used to happen to me years ago. So I learned how to break out of that by, calling my mum or a friend, getting up, getting moving, and leaving the house and going for a walk to kind of calm down your nervous system, your adrenaline, your fight or flight, your worry, and, going to the gym. But again, with panic attacks, it depends on how bad they are. Obviously, for some people, it gets so bad that they find themselves going to which I can really be compassionate about, going to the hospital or the A&E. But if it's sort of a panic attack that's quite bad but not as severe, try the advice that I've given you. Try leaving the house. Try going for a walk in the park. Try to talk to someone about it, and maybe that they can talk you through the anxiety attack, and you can teach yourself how to calm down. But also a long-term strategy for panic attacks is exercise. Exercise is, I'm telling you, it works. It's worked for me. Like every day I do it, and it works for people at all levels of anxiety, depression, mental health. It calms your system down. Your fight or flight. And it also teaches you how to survive in that place of anxiety and worry. It's good for your mind. It's also good for healing your emotional body. So, like mind, body, spirit, and soul all improve as a result of consistent exercise. I found running to probably be one of the best, but again, everyone's different. And I mean running outside, not on a treadmill. I found treadmill is not that effective for me personally, but again, everyone's different. Swimming's really good for reducing anxiety, panic attacks, and boxing is amazing. So one of those can be enough, or a combination of all. Weight training, but again, find a training routine that works for you. But the principle's the same. Consistent exercise and eating a healthier diet will improve panic attack. And it's also, I know, again, a lot of people don't like this. No one likes the feeling, neither do I. But it's also learning to not resist anxiety when it rises or it gets triggered, which is what a lot of people do, and that fuels the anxiety more. So it's almost like if you feel anxiety and you start panicking and trying to push it away quickly, it gets worse. Same with intrusive thoughts or emotions or thoughts. The more you push thoughts away that are scary or that are affecting you, the stronger they come on. So of course you want to get rid of them, but you get rid of them by not trying to push them away rapidly, whether that's emotions or thoughts, but learning to not identify with your thoughts, because we're not our thoughts, no matter how scary or disturbing they are. It's just something that our mind does on autopilot at times, especially with intrusive thoughts, and learning to be aware of them, but not to identify with them. And that kind of goes the same for the panic attack, because what a lot of people do and what I used to do, and it's obviously I understand it's a knee-jerk reaction when they're having anxiety in the morning or any time of the day or a panic attack. They tell themselves that I can't handle this, I've got to get rid of it, this is horrible, I'm going to die, or something bad's going to happen, or it's going to get worse. People worry about having a heart attack or something like that, and that makes it worse. You're not realizing that you're teaching your body to panic more. You're sending those messages to the brain, and then you get more panic, more worry, and then you feel more out of control. So it's really learning to handle those feelings and to calm yourself down until it calms down, and it either goes away or it gets very minimal. And then what happened to me over time, I stopped getting panic attacks, because I used to get them every single morning, and even at different times of the day in my 20s. And that's something that I learned over time. So again, it's like you learn an internal practice, and you also learn external behavioral practices, if that makes sense. So external behavioral practices are getting out of bed, moving, going to the gym, going to work, going to your therapist or mentor, speaking to your friends, getting out, traveling, walking, physical things that improve the mind and the body. And then the external things are, I guess, like mindfulness, where wherever you are, because you're with yourself, whether you're still or moving, learning to calm panic down by accepting that it's there and not fighting it. The more you try to fight it and panic, the more you get into this vicious cycle of the anxiety fueling. So sometimes it's tricky, because you've got to learn different skills at different times to reduce anxiety and manage it. And sometimes you just got to, and again, it isn't nice, I know, sometimes anxiety has got such a strong momentum that sometimes you can get rid of it, of course, eventually it will go, but you might not be able to get rid of it. You might have it for several hours, but you can just sort of accept that it's there, reduce it to as a minimally as possible, and then just continue, learn. And it's something that I've had to learn to do as well. But it will go eventually. It's almost psychological. It's like the more you hate the feeling, sorry to use that word, the more you don't like the anxiety and the thoughts, the stronger they come, and the more they bully you and bother you. But the more you just go, I don't like these, actually the more you just go, which takes time again, whatever then, stay forever. Thoughts stay, intrusive thoughts or panic or anger, and then it goes away. It is like a bully. If you're scared of a bully and you show it fear and you want it to go away, bullies tend to not go away. They tend to keep bullying you and putting fear into you. They enjoy that. But when you stand up to a bully and you're not scared of a bully no more, and the bully knows that it can't frighten you and control you or make you believe things about yourself that are not true, calling you horrible names which are not true, it goes away. And that's the same really with anxiety, because anxiety gets triggered by what you perceive as a threat. Whether it's usually always thoughts or future worries or rumination, or obviously in more severe cases OCD, intrusive thoughts that are not true. They're no reflection of you, but they come in and they're disturbing thoughts that we all get at times. Everyone gets them. and you panic. You know, you try to push the thoughts away, and this is something that I've also struggled with myself, so I know it again from personal experience. So yeah, having a strategy in the morning, having a routine, you know, practicing mindfulness, practicing exercising, practicing socializing, doing these things, you know, as consistently as you can, day in, day out, you're going to start seeing long-term results. And that's one of the difficult things that everybody at some point struggles with. Most of you probably might be struggling with that now. Is impatience, is, you know, wanting quick fixes. And I found in this area you can make quick progress each and every day, but there's not quick fixes for things like anxiety disorders or pretty much anything in life, losing weight, building confidence. But it's finding gratitude in that. It's accepting that this is going to be a journey, and you're going to have good days, you're going to have really bad days, you're going to have several bad days, you're going to have several good days, good months, not so good months. But if you persevere and you stick to it and you get help and support, like I always say, you have a community of people that help your person, and you practice discipline and gratitude and gym and all the positive habits that everybody knows deep down. These habits are not rocket science. We all know that, you know, eating a healthy diet is good for your mental health, is good for you. Going to the gym, you know, treating people how you want to be treated, doing positive things, breaking your addictions, helping other people, appreciating your life, having fun, laughing with friends. We know that these things are beneficial, but obviously it's challenging to have the courage and the discipline to do these things and to stick with these things long term and not fall back into anxiety cycles or addiction or procrastination. So it's really about training yourself, training new behaviors, or even behaviors that you've done before that are positive that you've neglected. If any of you got any other questions, let me know. And with anxiety, it's usually simple things that get us anxious and worried, which start off just by thoughts, worries, patterns, and it's also simple things that get you out of that, believe it or not. So simple, although in your mind it can feel like it's not simple, because that's the overthinking, that's the worrying part of the mind. I think it's the amygdala, learning a bit more about the science of it. But I know from experience, from mentoring people for over a decade, and being on my own journey with anxiety and this stuff, it's simple things that can trigger anxiety, but it's also simple things that can help you to recover and break out of anxiety and fear. Like I said, other exercises are, like I said, like tidying up, things like cleaning, not putting things off, keeping things tidy, making a list. This is something that I like doing in my life and getting my clients to do it as part of a daily routine. You can have a to-do list before you go to bed, or you can do it in the morning. Probably recommend actually doing it before you go to sleep or the day before. You write a list of things of tasks or responsibilities or hobbies that you're going to complete the next day. And the challenge is when you wake up is to do those activities that you've committed to doing. And doing that really builds confidence. It really teaches you that you can handle anxiety, you can handle negative thoughts, intrusive thoughts, and eventually make a full recovery, because you can make a full recovery. I've done it several times in my life, and I'll talk about that in another video stream. Many other people have done it, so you can do the same if you're committed and you persevere and you don't give up on, because usually, people don't give up on good days. People give up if they have a really bad day, or they get triggered, or it's kind of like relapsing on their addictions, or going for a stage of being good with their anxiety management, and then getting triggered again and getting stressed. And it's the small little adjustments, it's the small behavioral changes that change the way that you feel. And actually, over time, oh, it's raining now, it's nice, start to change how you think. So yeah, this is a whole kind of conversation around, you see, once you get the fundamentals right, you can then build on that. And that's something that I've always been excited about when I experienced this for myself and started to see the progress that my clients made. So the first step is the challenge to have the courage and the discipline to get out of bed when you don't feel like getting out of bed, when you've got anxiety, when you've got when you're having negative emotions in your body, when you're worrying, when you don't feel like going out. See, a lot of it is about, well, because I don't feel like it emotionally, I'm not going to do it. But that is how you stay stuck. And don't believe me, I understand how hard this is, but I also understand that anyone can do it with practice and discipline, because I used to really struggle with this as well. And even at times I struggle as well. I'm human, but I've got a lot more consistent from years of experience and teaching others. So, just because you've got negative emotions and just because you've got high levels of anxiety, it doesn't mean you can't continue living your life. You can do it, believe me. Humans have done it, I've done it, some of you may have done it, which is great. My clients have done it. Millions of people around the world who never believed that they could break out of anxiety and recover have done it. And to have done that, they have had to have lived many days where they felt scared, they felt lonely, they felt stressed, overwhelmed, ruminating. They didn't feel like getting out of bed and going to work or the gym or speaking to someone or changing certain habits, but they taught themselves to do it. And, as I said, running is really good for that, because, like a lot of things generally, and until you really grow to love it, and even when you enjoy it, there's days where you won't feel like doing it. Look, it's raining today, so it's easy to say, well, I'm not going to run because it's raining. But I would, if I want to run, I'll run in the rain. It doesn't bother me as much as maybe most people in a certain mindset who rationalize it and say, well, I don't want to get wet. And I can understand that, but that's sometimes an excuse, because when you think about it, we get wet and we take a shower every day, but then you dry off. So you're not going to be wet forever. So obviously, taking precautions, you can put on a jacket and a hat and go and run in the rain and get a great workout, and then come back home, shower up, and you're going to be dry again. Put some clean clothes on and relax, watch a movie or whatever. So a lot of it is breaking a lot of these sort of natural human beliefs and tendencies to put things off, or just believe that I can't change it when you can. And that's, I would say, one of the hardest parts about breaking out of fears and anxieties, is breaking a lot of these beliefs that we've had for such a long time. And because you've been fueling these beliefs by behaviors and thinking and patterns, you believe that you can't change them when you can. So it's almost like, I don't know if it's if the right word, I don't know if it's a paradox, if that's the right word, but it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think that's the right word. Again, it might be wrong. I do get my words wrong sometimes. Correct me in the box below, but you follow my point. If someone believes that they can't run because they're not good at running and they're not fit, then they believe that so strongly that they don't run. Or they might have ran once in their life and they weren't fit and they never done it again. So they reinforce a belief by acting on it. Whereas if they said, well, let me challenge that belief. I don't believe that I can run because I've never really been good at it. So why don't they practice for 6 months? And you'll see that that belief isn't true, that they can change that belief by getting proof that it's not true, by disciplining themselves to gradually build up and build that relationship with running that love, and lose some weight or get fit. And that's something that anyone can do with practice. So the beliefs start off with anxiety as negative. I can't overcome my anxiety attacks, or I'm never going to overcome intrusive thoughts, or I'm always going to be like this. And that's not true. But if you've been in that place for so long, and you don't know how to get out of it, and you don't have somebody else to challenge, not in a negative way or a bad way, but to help you to see that that isn't true. Like, you might believe that you can't overcome anxiety and you can never be confident, and you can't be social because social anxiety, or you can't break an addiction, but some other people don't believe that. I don't believe that about you. And the reason why I don't believe that is because I overcame a lot of my negative beliefs, and also because I've coached people now for, I think it's getting on 12 years. Obviously, throughout that time, there's been some stopping and starting, but generally I've got over 10 years experience mentoring people in all different areas of life, but mainly in the area of anxiety and fear management and building confidence. And I've seen the changes people have made if they've been committed to challenge their beliefs by not accepting them, changing certain behaviors, and then getting new evidence that those beliefs are not true. So another example is a lot of people, and I've been one of these people, and I disproved it, and I've had clients. A lot of people don't believe that they can lose weight. They might think, well, I'm 40 now, I'm too old for men and women, or I'm 50, or 20, or any age. Because people might say, well, I've always been overweight, I've always had a weight problem, I've always struggled with food. Or some people might say they've always been on the slimmer side, they've never been able to put on some muscle. Whatever the case may be, they believe that they can't change their physical health and mental. They can't lose weight and they can't get fit because they've been that way for 10 years. But what they don't realise is that they can. But I do understand, the longer you've been stuck in a negative belief, the harder it feels to break it, because time's gone on for so long, and you've strengthened that belief with those behaviours. Most of the behaviours are avoidance and procrastination. It's not even like you did a behaviour that, it's not like you've done a behaviour and it cursed you in a way that it made this belief unbreakable. It's like you had a belief that you couldn't lose weight and go to the gym, so therefore maybe you never really went to the gym, or you stopped and started. You didn't stay consistent because of impatience. So a lot of people say, right, I'm going to try and change a certain belief I've got that is always comes back to some anxiety. So even though people might say, well, I've got a weight problem and an eating disorder, they might not see that as an anxiety issue, but I know from experience that it kind of is that. It's a different area. So people have got anxieties with career. I know career is a different area, different theme. So you've got career, and then you've got you've got health and weight loss and training and fitness. So yes, I understand the areas are different, but the origin of the problem is the same, and it's anxiety at the root cause. It's fear, it's insecurity, and it's a negative belief. And the belief is, I'm not good enough and I can't do it. Somewhere in that belief is other people can do it because they're better than me or different, and it isn't true. But it won't be proven to be untrue if you don't challenge it and change it, and then eventually have a new belief, a new mindset, because you need to get proof. The brain, I'm not saying with everything, but I'd say for most things, the way that a lot of the brain operates is it needs proof. And if we keep sending signals to our brain that we're scared, we're afraid, and we're not safe, and we can't do things, it starts to give you signals on that. And that's where people get a lot of negative thoughts, intrusive thoughts, beliefs about themselves which are very limited and not necessary, and they're not true. Actually, they're not true. So consistency is the key, like I said. And one of the hard parts for people is impatience. The reason why, one of the reasons why, and of course we've all done this, is, and again, I'm very, very understanding that it's not easy. So it's not putting anyone down or judging anyone or me, but just helping people to understand so you can get results that you deserve. The reason why a lot of people are not consistent at sticking to a habit and achieving a goal and changing a belief is because they get impatient or they lose heart, they lose hope when when it's not working out quick enough, when they're having bad days. So for example, if you're trying to lose weight and eat a healthy diet and you want to get into shape, and when I say get in shape, I mean generally in all areas, like your confidence, your weight loss, your physique, if that's something important to you, and you're eating. Now, a lot of people might start a diet, and for the first maybe couple of days, they see some progress, which is great. But after maybe 2 months or 3 months, they don't get the results that they expected. Maybe they don't lose enough weight, or they might lose a bit of weight and then put the weight back on again because they get stressed in their life, other anxieties, worries, boredom, loneliness, isolation, etc. All those things. So then people get really stressed, and the pain of that, which I understand, and the fear of that, and sometimes the loneliness, then people will get frustrated, and because they've not made enough progress or they've regressed, and then they give up completely, and then they're like, oh, I just can't do it. Whereas if they said, look, have compassion, it is difficult. You know, life is difficult for all of us at times, especially with these things. But if they maybe got some more help, regrouped and said, look, I had a really terrible day, or it's been a bad week, you know, I've eaten unhealthy every day, forgive myself, move on and keep going, don't give up. Because no journey of anyone, and people say this regularly, it's become quite a cliche, like, no journey is a straight line. My journey wasn't, and it's still not like that. So it's not like when you want to overcome anxiety, you just decide one day, and then every day is like good, and then it's like, oh, I've healed now, I've overcome anxiety. It's not like that. Same with weight loss and dieting. It's, for most people, it's not like, well, I've been eating unhealthy for 20 years of my life, and I've just made a decision today, and then from every day onwards, you're just eating healthy food. You never put junk food in your mouth. You never eat unhealthy. It's not like that. I mean, maybe people say stuff like that, but it's not true. You have days where you eat healthy, you eat some unhealthy food, you struggle until you get to a place of, I would say, recovery is a good word, success, healing, confidence, or consistency, or you achieve the results that you want. Let's say if you want to lose 40 pounds and you struggle, you know, you lose 5 pounds, you put on 2 more pounds, or you lose 10, you put it back on. But if you stick to it for 1 year or 6 months, you get to a point where you lose the 40 pounds, you might even lose more. And then you're well ahead, and you've succeeded now. And then now it's maintaining that. And that's another, I'll talk about that maybe in another video, that's for another day. I think a lot of people maybe not know this. I didn't know it until I learned the hard way. Hopefully none of you will have to go through something that I went through. So years ago, when I had a lot of anxieties, I set a goal in my 20s. My goal at the time, I wanted to build my confidence and overcome my fears. I wanted to get a relationship, a girlfriend. I wanted to earn money doing a job that I enjoyed. I wanted to travel. I wanted to box, and I wanted to help other people. I wanted to do public speaking. So I achieved all those goals in about, I don't know, a 2 or 3 year period, and I got into a very good place. And of course I still had anxiety from time to time, because that's normal and human, but I didn't have anxiety to the level that I used to, and it was no longer holding me back in my life, and I achieved the goals that I dreamed of as a young man at that time. Most of those goals were around also helping other people. But years later, I got a bit complacent, and I ended up, I mean, this isn't my fault. Some of it is down to my behaviors, but I ended up having a mental health breakdown from stress and not continuing probably to stay positive and grateful, and some other factors as well that weren't in my control. You know, like obviously challenges happened that happen in life, but there were parts that were down to me, and I started to, you know, eat unhealthy food too much, put on a lot of weight, and lose motivation in my business, in all areas of my life. And I eventually suffered with the worst anxiety ever, and then had a mental health breakdown. So now I've learned that even when you recover with anything in life, and I've even learned, I mean, I'm not an expert on drug addiction or alcohol, but I do love learning from good people. And I've learned from watching podcasts online that people that have struggled with drug addiction or alcohol, that have made amazing recoveries and beat it, they'll still tell you that they still can't be complacent because they can relapse. They've still got to continue maintaining the positive behaviors and good relationships, and sometimes continuous therapy. Not always with the therapy, but sometimes, because they know that if they don't, they can easily fall back into those behaviors, those addictions. And that, you see that again. This is not to judge anybody, this is learning. You see that with amazing people, that, you see it with some celebrities or sports people that are so disciplined, and they achieve some amazing things in sport, and they have maintained good mental health. But when they make a lot of money, for example, it's not always the case, but it can be, they start to go, they start to go wayward. They start to, they have, you could say that they have people around them that are not genuine. I guess we call it yes men in this generation. People that are only around them for not good reasons, because what they can get, they're not really genuine. And they start to drink a lot, they start to take drugs, they start to engage in a lot of behaviors that are negative and destructive, and then they, some of them, get into a negative place. Some of them never return back to that peak level of performance. Some of them actually lose in their sports. Now, of course, winning and losing is a part of life. There's no shame in that. But some of them would never have lost or never have fell short if they would have maintained their mental health, their confidence, their positive habits. But because they, obviously we're human again, it's not judging anyone, it's happened to me, just trying to help more people, because they maybe got too complacent, or maybe they didn't know how to deal with their success, they didn't know how to get the help at that level, because I always say getting help is a strength, not a weakness. And I just want to make a point, because I feel good about sharing this. As a lot of you know, I help people. I pretty much do therapy and coaching and mentoring for other people, which I love. But I've also got a therapist. I'm in therapy because I need help too. I can't do everything on my own. I've got my own stresses. So having help, and I'm not saying that always means therapy. That could just mean you're having good people around you that you can confide in. It could be your family, whatever. It could be all those things. Great. When you've got help and support, that decreases your chances of getting depressed or relapsing with addiction or falling back into a bad place, or we all go for it. We're all human again. None of us are perfect. Sometimes we're not as we might not be as humble as we'd like to be. We don't realize it. I've been through this as well, where we might be taking things for granted a bit and not appreciating what we've got in our life because we don't realize it. We've had it for so long, that can affect us in the long run. So it's really about doing the best you can each and every day. That's all we can do. And then, enjoying the journey as well. Enjoying the process of building your confidence, overcoming fears. And it's really amazing today that I've kind of gone a little bit deeper, which I didn't plan, because it all started off with a simple exercise, which is when you wake up in the morning, and I know it's not easy, believe me, and I've been practicing this now for 20 years, and it's not easy for me. Like some days it's easy. This morning, it wasn't easy for me to get out of bed. It was a bit easier than it was yesterday, because I'm dealing with some stress too. And I've still got I've got to do things, run a business, like all of us have. I've got some personal stresses, obviously got worries. Sometimes I worry too about family, other loved ones that I care about. But I did it, with setting that goal. So the more you do difficult things, the easier it gets. But the more you put difficult things off, the harder it becomes. But I would say this as well, and it's really about, you shouldn't compare yourself to anybody, to me or to anyone, because we're all human. We're all the same. In that way, we're all the same. We're all human. We're all human, regardless of our background, how old we are, where we grew up. We're all human. But obviously, our personalities and we're all on our own journey in life, and that's going to be slightly different. So you can't compare and say, well, why is that person more confident than me, or they don't have anxiety like I do, Well, because they've lived a different life, you don't know. Sometimes you're wrong. You can see someone and think that they don't have anxiety, but I can tell you from experience that everybody definitely has some anxiety. Some people have got less, and like someone said a wise thing the other day, two people actually, and they said a lot of people don't understand what recovery looks like, especially with anxiety disorders. They think in their head they got an idea that recovery is someone that never gets anxiety, and that's completely far from the truth. Recovery is that someone would still get anxiety, but they deal with it better and they have less of it. And that was how recovery looked for me on the first part of my journey in my kind of late 20s. I always had this idea that, oh man, I'll pray to God and just beg, I want to get over this anxiety so bad. I hate having this anxiety. I hate these feelings and thoughts and panic and worry and all the shame that comes with it. I just want to overcome it. I just want to always be happy and confident and peaceful, which is understandable. I think we'd all want that. But when I did overcome it, in some ways, yes, it was like that in periods, but it wasn't always like that. And then I realized, to some degree, yes, you can overcome anxiety and recover, but you can't 100% fully get rid of anxiety for the rest of your life, because there's always going to be things that can trigger you. But that doesn't mean you can't get to a space where you no longer live with massive amounts of anxiety, if that makes sense. So good morning to you as well, man. Thanks for coming on again. I hope you're well. Well done for you living in the UK. I was about to say well done for getting up in the morning, but I don't know. Maybe you could be in America or anywhere at a different time. So if you come on the stream today, we're talking about simple practice of how to break morning anxiety, panic, intrusive thoughts, worry, how to manage OCD, all these things by getting out of bed as quick as you can, showering and leaving the house. Now, obviously today, I'm in the house because I'm doing this live stream, but I woke up this morning, I've got my, I don't know, it reminds me of an army shirt. I'm not in the army, but I like this green t-shirt. I had a shower and I got up, got my trainers on, dressed, and I committed to doing this live stream, and I'm going to go out after, enjoy the weekend. There's a lot of activities that I'm going to participate in. So we started there, I explained the value, and now we've gone in to where we are now. So you can re-watch this live stream if you missed the first part, and I have kind of explained how getting good at getting out of bed quicker will give you the confidence and the strength and the tools to really, make so much progress on your anxiety in all areas of your life. So yes, this exercise that I've explained today is for combating morning anxiety in the morning, but it's also for combating anxiety in pretty much every area of life, if that makes sense. So we spoke on that. If any of you got any questions, please ask me. Don't be nervous or fearful about asking me. I always try and answer the questions, and if I don't have the answer, I will always say that I don't have the answer. And I do try and ask everyone to try to stay on topic, because sometimes I'm quite easygoing, but sometimes people ask me questions that are so off topic, and they're not always appropriate. Sometimes they might ask me certain questions and I will decline to answer it. Not to be rude, it's just because the question is completely off topic and it's a bit distracting with everyone that we're trying to help. That's so important, and I'm really glad that you brought that up, because you're right, and that is another good tip. You are right, which is not using the phone in the morning. You're right. I remember David Goggins said that. That's true. That causes a lot of anxiety in the morning when people wake up, and the first thing they do is, and I experience this too when I do it, is reach for the phone. Now, obviously, sometimes you get the phone because you want to check the time, but you can just look at the phone, look at the time, and then put it away. So you're right. A good exercise, just to add on to what you've said, is waking up, not ruminating on the phone, because that's the worst thing to do. If you wake up in the morning and you've already got anxiety and then you go on Instagram or YouTube, it just makes you feel worse. So I would say, again, what we said, break the pattern. Maybe, my dad said this the other day, I know it's maybe a bit old-fashioned advice, but he had a good point. For those of you maybe that put the radio on, because at least it's not the phone, or put some music on if you've got a stereo. Change patterns that are negative or they have a negative effect, or say to yourself, in the morning, I'm not going to use the phone for maybe an hour. And I'm telling you, I'm glad you brought this thing up on the phone. Thank you, because this has kind of triggered this conversation in a positive way. I guarantee you, because I'm doing this lately, I'm doing these things, I'm kind of experimenting with this in my own life and helping my clients. And also I like to learn from things that my clients come up with, like all of you do. That's important as well, guys and girls. I'd say it is great to learn from a teacher like myself or whoever you're learning from, but it is also important that you teach yourself. You learn from your own experiences, because at the end of the day, as much as we try to help you teachers with methods that have been proven, I guess nothing's 100% certain, so you've got to figure out what works for you. Hey Lewis, good to see you, man. Thanks for coming on the stream. Any of you that are new to this channel, please subscribe. It would help all of us, and it will help one another to make more progress with confidence, reduce anxiety, discipline, achieve goals, and all the things that we talk about on this channel, daily routine, etc. So yeah, if you was to say, right, I spend a lot of time on my phone, so in the morning I'm going to look at, obviously, if you've got a watch and you haven't got to look at the phone, right? I don't have a watch, maybe I'll get one soon. Or if you've got a clock at home, which I don't have as well. So you could say, for the first hour, I'm not touching the phone. Like, switch the phone off, actually. And for that hour, wake up, take a shower, do your gratitude, go out for a walk in the park. And don't check your phone until you've done an hour. That discipline is unbelievable. People might think, oh, that's not a big deal. It is a big deal. Because if you can be disciplined for 1 hour in an area that's really difficult for you, then you can be disciplined for 4 hours, for 10. You can build on that. Let's get some questions going and conversations, because please, all of you, interrupt me anytime. I've kind of covered what I wanted to cover today. The battery's running low. That's a shame. I would have kept going. I'm going to see if I can do a live stream later on, because it's Saturday today. I should have more time. Hopefully, if I am on later on, you can join me. We can continue. I open my phone in the morning for social media. It's made me anxious, because it's made me compare my... Yeah, see, that's what it does. That is an option as well that you can do. I would say that's good, but sometimes be careful with extreme changes quickly. Sometimes that can backfire, but again, it's what works for you. Because sometimes people delete all the apps on their phone, and then it's such a big... I'm not saying not to do it. Again, it's what works for you. But sometimes they end up, that's too difficult. So sometimes you've got to give yourself challenges that are difficult but manageable. And the reason why I say that is because if I'm working with a client and I make them do something that's so difficult, it could backfire. It could be harder for them because it's too difficult. So you do want to be mindful that you're not giving yourself things that are too difficult to begin with, which will make you, maybe get discouraged. But obviously, if you can do difficult things, then by all means do it. And I kind of go back to the analogy. With regards to that question, I'm not teaching that anymore. I haven't taught that for a long time, so I can't really speak on that. Maybe best ask someone else, but I can speak on, boxing is really good for confidence, etc. So, like I said, with all these habits, they're really, really good, and what I love about them is they're simple. So, waking up in the morning, getting out of bed quickly, not looking at your phone, not going on social media. Listen, try this. If you've got a strong urge that you must go on social media, I'm sure at some point it's hard not to, not impossible, but hard, especially if you're running a business or you're getting help. Cold showers are good. You lot are on crazy form today, and you know what? Thanks to a lot of you, actually my client inspired me. I had a cold shower this morning, something that I never usually do. I mean, I do cold showers at the gym, but that's never usually in the morning. And my client, Phil, was the first person to kind of talk to me. I heard it on podcast, but he did it. He inspired me and many of you. So the good news is I do a lot of these exercises with all of you and my clients because I'm human as well. Like I said, different to anybody. So where were we? So yes, if you're going to go on social media, I would say first of all go and do some positive habits or activities for an hour or two. Another thing that you can do, again, these are all optional. I did this for a long time. It was really good. And I still do it when I need to, and it's important. There was a period where in the mornings I'd get up and I'd travel down and I'd go and see my dad. I'd go and have a coffee with my dad in the morning, and that was great because obviously I got to spend time with my dad. He enjoyed that, we enjoyed it, and I also got to break that pattern of wasting all my time, not wasting a lot of my time on social media, which isn't healthy for me all the time, especially with the fact that I run a business that I enjoy. Social media can be great for that, and I also enjoy, like a lot of you, going on and learning from other people. And I like watching boxing and music, but it was good for me to come away from it and to challenge myself and to see if I could do it. Other exercises that I do that maybe some of you can do at work is if I'm working with a client in London, I don't look at my phone more than once or twice, and that's just to check the time for the session. But I will not be on my phone on social media and then mentoring a client. Well, I wouldn't do that, number one, because I don't think that wouldn't be respectful. I wouldn't be fair on my clients, but I just wouldn't do that. But some people, again, not judging, some people will do that because they don't realize they're doing it. And they do that at work, or even we see it everywhere. We've all done it, right? So it's not about judging, but it's about learning and changing if we want to, right? I can't force anyone to change, but if you want to change, I can help you. So things like that, having discipline, when you're with your friends and family, not being, because you see it, and I'm not the first person to say this, I won't be the last. Sometimes you see families out, friends, and they're at a restaurant, but they're not talking to each other. They're all like that on their phone for hours. And, we wonder why today there's a lot of depression and disconnection, especially even in family relationships or everything. Because they're not present, they're on the phone. So what you can say is, right, eventually you're going to go on the phone, right? But you can discipline yourself, maybe say, well, for the first 2 hours of the day, I'm not going to go on social media. I'm going to go and spend time with a friend. Like, how amazing is that? Or I'm going to go and hike, I'm going to run, I'm going to go gym. Another thing that I thought about recently, which I've started to do, again, this is optional for all of you, because a lot of the times as well, when people are at the gym, I do it. We're at the gym, but we're on our phone too much. So we're doing our workout, we're doing sets on the weights or training, and then when we're resting, we're going on social media. And sometimes we don't realize that that's ruining our workout. We're enjoying our workout, we're present, we're grateful, we're not overthinking, but then we go on our phone and we're getting pulled into other people's lives, which can be distracting. So you can turn your phone off and put it in the locker. I know it's hard sometimes as well because I like to listen to music sometimes when I'm working out, and I do that through my phone and YouTube, but there's other ways. You can get an iPod, or you can just try it without music. So I'm glad that you brought up about the phone, because it can play a part. And then when you've finished your workout, you can go on the phone. By all means, go on the phone for however long you want, because you've had at least a couple of hours away from the phone. And again, I don't know why this is coming up. When I was younger, I'm sure a lot of you relate, I was addicted to video games. It was like my life was my friends, video games and sports. I was going to say eating sweets, candy, and that was kind of my life when I was younger. My dad used to say, hey, my mum, you've been on that computer for a long time. You've been on that for like 5 hours. You should have a rest. It's not good for your eyes. And I wouldn't want to come off it. I'd be like, oh no, parents telling me. But now I realize they were right, that there is a balance in everything. Like I've said before, one of you made a great point yesterday. I think it was one of you said, or someone said that they were going gym for a long time, but they were still depressed because they weren't socializing. And I said that, of course, because out of balance. It's good to go to the gym, but it's not good to go to the gym too much and not have no friends and not see your family. And he agreed, and I said, change, improve the balance of that. Nowadays, nowadays society make people depressed. I agree, they do. It really does when you go out with people, even if you don't use the phone, how to connect. I'm going to do a video on that soon. Hopefully I can do a podcast and get a friend on, because me and my friends have spoke about this. I'm sure we'll do it. And I'm going to share, and I don't mean this in a big-headed way. I don't have all the answers to life, but I'm an expert in this area. And I've really improved at building great connections with my friends. And I don't take credit for that. Do you know what I credit that to? My faith, my family, and going through a mental health breakdown in 2017 really did, and learning from good people. Because there were times where, I made all these, I did these things too. My connections weren't always great because, I was distracted in all relationships at certain times of my life, in my career, with my family, friends, and at the time, girlfriend, partner relationship, because I was addicted to my phone or looking at my YouTube channel or other channels or my business, or just getting lost in scrolling and watching videos on YouTube, or too much time on Facebook, etc. So with regards to your question about connection and how to improve that, it's really about what we said today. It's just about, I was with a friend of mine yesterday. We had a great time, childhood friend, and I didn't go on. I probably went on my phone once to look at the time. The whole time we had a good time. I knocked at him at his place. We had a chat, and then we went out for about 4 hours. We went for a walk in the park. We went for a coffee, and we just spoke the whole time. We were as present as we could be, and I really appreciate it. So simple things, that's how you do it. If you want to have good connections with people when you're with them, guys and girls, put your phone in your pocket and stop getting it out. Stop doing that habit of checking. Turn the phone off for 2 hours. Use time as a way of helping you navigate this discipline. And even if you said to me, I can't do 2 hours, that's fine. Try and do 10 minutes, then half an hour. If you're someone that has been constantly checking the phone when you're with people, and you're just constantly on it, and you find it really difficult, then just work at slowly lessening your time. And then tell your brain, you're almost talking to that addictive part of you. Tell yourself, look, we're gonna go on it anyway. Social media is not going to vanish by you not looking at it for an hour or two. So find creative ways on breaking that addiction, breaking that habit of not going on social media, and learn from other people that talk about it. I've heard David Goggins speak about it. And then what you'll probably find is what I find: when you do have some time away from social media, when you go on it, you probably enjoy it more. You won't be as triggered. You won't be comparing your life to other people. Why? Because you're living a great life. You're happy with the life that you're living. Wonder Girl says, stay off competitive video games. That's a good point. Now, for me, I don't think there's anything wrong per se with playing video games. What I think is wrong is what we spoke about, is not getting the right balance. If someone plays video games but they're social, they go out, then I don't see a problem with it. It's not so much the video games. It can be bad on your eyes, right? The screen, but are you using the video games as a distraction, as a way of coping with your fears? That's when it can become a problem. Or are you spending too much time on video games? And that's the same for anything. If people are spending too much time in their business, that can become unhealthy. So we've all got to, and it's an ongoing thing, try and get a healthier balance. You were saying that I do some research that ADHD, or not focusing on being present in the moment, makes people depressed. 100%. I'd also say to that, you're right, that with all anxiety disorders, ADHD included, just in general, even people that don't have ADHD or haven't had an anxiety disorder like I've had and most of us had on this community, it'll make them depressed. Human beings get depressed, as you said, fundamentally when they're not present and when they're listening to their negative thoughts, when they're ruminating, and also, especially for people who deal with OCD or intrusive thoughts, being with that, fighting that gets you really depressed. So when you're present, it's probably the best feeling in the world. I'd say it's even better. It's even better than happy emotions, which feel quite euphoric and good and intense, but they evaporate. They turn to negative. So you're right. Touching on what you said, Ice, all of this is about ways in getting present. When we wake up in the morning, we're not generally until we practice it, right? And again, I just want to make a point of saying that just because someone is, let's just say someone's very good at being present, which is great, and doesn't mean that they're perfect all of a sudden. It doesn't mean that they're better than you. Don't believe that. It just means that they've got a bit more discipline at the moment. You can get the same. It's not a competition between one another, but they can still fall out of that. So, I say to other people, with me, it's important. I'm sure a lot of you don't do it. I'm sure some of you do. Don't look at me and think that I'm perfect when I'm not, or I'm always present, or I'm always anxiety free, because I'm not, or I'm always disciplined with not going on social media. I'm always disciplined with eating healthy. I'm not. These are things, it's an ongoing process for me. I'm a work in progress, but I find levels of consistency, and it's obviously we've got our life to live. It's daily. So consistency is the key. Sorry, I didn't read the rest of your question. Yeah, that's 100% true. Yeah, you're right. When you're more present, you're not focused on the noise in your head. We've all got that voice in our head. Everyone's got it. Any more questions? I'll do a few minutes. I'll go, and this battery is probably going to run in a few more minutes. I'm really pleased today because I actually aimed even to do half an hour, and time's gone quick because we've been having fun today. But yeah, I just want to make a point of saying, because I say this to clients and it helps them, and I know, I do this with my therapist. It's not easy because we all do it. It's human nature. Try to not judge yourself and be patient, gentle, and not put pressure to do everything in one day. So just because I've given a lot of various exercises today that can help all of you or anybody that can try them for themselves, see what works, I'm not saying that you need to do all of them today. That's a bit too much to ask for. I mean, if you could do that, great. But the likelihood is it's a bit too much. Even if you do one thing, you're already doing well. So some people might say, well, I was able to get out of bed a bit earlier, but I wasn't able to maybe stay off social media or go to the gym. That was a bit too overwhelming. That's fine. You've still done something. That's great. Or some people might say, I wasn't able to do a cold shower, but I was able to get up earlier and leave the house and go to a coffee shop or go and meet a friend. It's great. So it's really about looking at the small incremental progress that you make. And if you keep sticking to that, then over time, the battery's getting low. I knew it. The battery just gets quicker and quicker on these phones. I think that's one of the things that we all do. It's a human tendency, and it can really harm a lot of us until we stop doing it. We look at other people that have achieved success, or they've recovered with their anxiety, or they're confident at speaking, or they've overcome being shy or bullied, or they've made money from struggling. Whatever the case may be, we look at others and then we say, they're different to me. They're better than me. It's not fair, or why are they so ahead of me, or I'm never going to get to where. And we shouldn't do that, because you don't know them And you until you don't know how difficult it was for them, what they went through, the failures that they endured, the times of doubt. I know it's not comfortable for a lot of people, myself included. At some point, people have dealt with suicidal thoughts, maybe that you've dealt with. They've dealt with depression, addiction. They've not always believed in themselves, but they persevered. And it wasn't a straight line in that they started and just became who they became. It took time. So you mustn't look at people and say, I feel like I'm a failure or they're so ahead than me, because you've got your journey and you're going to get to where you want to get to. So it's not a competition between you and other people. If anything, it's a competition between you and the progress that you're going to make between you. And I hope this can help a lot of you before we end. Obviously, when I was young, I was the same. I got bullied growing up. I was very insecure and and quite depressed and compared myself to a lot of people. And at times, of course, felt a bit jealous. Why is everyone doing well? I'm good. I don't deserve this. But as I got more confident, I didn't think like that anymore. I was happy if people were successful, and I didn't compare. I more got inspired by others. There's more like connection and gratitude. It was like, oh, it's amazing what they've done. Oh, if they can do it, then I can do that. Or maybe I can't do that in that area, but I can do it in another area. I'm going to compare myself to where I'm at and where I want to get to. So focus on where you're at and where you want to get to. Take one day at a time. Sometimes even take 1 hour at a time. Sometimes take 1 minute at a time. And just make small amounts of progress and start to monitor the changes in the progress that you're making, and try not to focus on the negative too much. By the way, just to let all of you know, at the moment I'm working with 2 long-term clients, and I'm going through some challenges in my life, but I've got some space if anyone wants to book a mentoring session. At the moment, I do mentoring in person for committed clients, but I'm probably going to do, I also do mentoring online. So if you'd like to book a paid mentoring session online, I do 1 hour block sessions. So it's good because it's only an hour. It's not too long and overwhelming, unless it was a case where you wanted to do more. And you're not obligated to do, a long-term program. And respectfully, I'm not in that position where I'm obligated that I have to work with you long-term, because I only work with people that are committed. And if I feel that I can't help someone, I will always be honest and say that I can't work with you, but I recommend you find someone else. And that's because maybe I know that I wouldn't be the right person on your journey, or maybe my teachings, my therapy might not work with what you need, but there'll be someone that will have what you need. And it's also a two-way thing as well. So it's good with the hour because there's no commitment to do more. And of course, if let's say you did the hour, you enjoyed it, and you were nervous about wanting to do more, if I could help you and work with you, then we could do more. But you're not obligated, which is good, because I know that feeling. People don't like to feel that, and I don't like to feel that either. When I've done therapy, I remember getting some therapy a year ago, and I did the first session to try it out, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't like the terms on the second one. They wanted me to sign a contract and go up to some 12-week course, and I declined it. I didn't like that setup. I didn't like that feeling of someone telling me that I kind of had to sign contracts, and there's not a contract in my coaching. That obviously there's an agreement over email and verbal. So it's nice to have that. So my email address is below most of my videos. I think I've got to put it on this one. You can email me, and it's flexible wherever you are in the world, because we can do it over Zoom, or with my client James, we do it over Facebook video call. It works just as well. So if you need a bit of help and support in this area of building confidence, discipline, improving on anxiety, exposure, taking more action, then I'm happy to help you with that. Right. Supplements also are helpful. I use try to read your thing. Tricine, so I didn't pronounce that right in the morning. It improves my focus massively. That's great. Does it help? Yeah, that's good. It helps. Many things in life reduce our dopamine. How you think about hormones is often time neglect. That's great as well. That's good. I'm glad that you are doing your own things, and that's an important point again that I'm going to elaborate a bit more on that. Someone else said it. It's always important because sometimes people get stuck in the trap of saying, well, just because this worked for Jonathan, this worked for his client or many people on his channel, it worked for another teacher, it worked for Goggins, so it has to work for me. Now, of course, it probably will work, but worst case scenario, if you've been trying it for weeks and it's not worked, then you really want to look at, of course, sometimes you've got to take responsibility and say, am I committing to the therapy or the mentorship? But you've got to try other things. There are other things out there. And although I do believe that there are certain therapies and principles that work for everyone, there are sometimes things that don't work for everyone. As I said, boxing training has always worked for me and many people, but I know some people that just don't like boxing. It's not for them, and it's respecting that. So they will find another exercise that might be running, it might be hiking, it might be yoga. So you have to also, you have to know yourself in that way and give yourself what you need. Because there were times where people would recommend therapies to me and I'd be like, look, it works for many people, but it doesn't work for me. There was a time where meditation didn't work for me and I kept trying it and it was making me worse. So I just stopped it and I found other things that worked. But, at a later point in my life, I might have found that it works. So sometimes it's timing. Sometimes at a certain time, it's not that the therapy doesn't work. It works for many people, but it might not be the right time for you. You might need to find a different one, if that makes sense. I'm sure it does. So yeah, great stream. I mean, I've actually learned a lot today from. I appreciate all of you turning up and allowing me to teach this. I guess it's a lesson, and learning, and all of the help from everyone's been great. Got more ideas to share. At some point, I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I don't know how all of you feel. I hope it helps a lot of people. I'm sure it'd be a mixed reaction. I want to kind of like put. I have to get a cameraman to do this, but not like a day in my life, because I think my life is pretty boring, but I do enjoy it. But kind of film some clips of my daily routine, maybe like a little mini documentary to help inspire people, especially people that have got anxiety disorders, and sort of take you through the habits that I do. Because obviously I'm telling you, and I do put some of the clips on my Instagram that some of you can follow. But I'd like to show more. I don't know, maybe if I can, maybe even get permission from a friend. I'm not sure if my family would agree, who knows. So you could sort of see my day when I get up, what I do, the run that I do, the coffee. I usually, throughout my day, usually, not every day, but most days, I'll meet with someone, whether I'll be mentoring a client, or I'll go for meet my friend, or I'll go meet my brother, or spend time with my family. There will be a lot of these things included. The runs that I do. I don't know, it might be fun. I would be happy to know that if people watch that, it would help them to really at least come forward and admit their anxiety and get the help they need, and to enjoy their life more. So I'll see how I feel. I've got a lot of footage to put together as well with my weight loss journey, because I was speaking to a friend the other day who didn't see me when I was overweight, and I was telling him that I was very overweight, couldn't believe it, because he wanted to lose weight. And I said, yeah, I've got videos on my channel still that I can backtrack, and I might put a series together to inspire people, help them, and show them that you can make positive changes if you set a goal and you commit to it. So yeah, maybe do a video on a weight loss journey, and also it's been a long journey for me, my anxiety, mental health journey, which is still ongoing. You know what? When I do these, which is a good thing, I'm really starting to enjoy this. When I do these live streams and we really enjoy them, these are we go really heart to heart, all out. It never feels like the right time to end. It feels a little bit awkward. I feel a little bit bad to end it. But obviously, we've got to end this at some point. You've got to get on your life. I've got to get on my life. But that's a good thing for another video. So yeah, I hope all of you enjoyed this. I appreciate it. I am pleased that we've built quite a lot of momentum It has been challenging for me as well to have the discipline to stick to these, because life gets in the way. Sometimes my excuses get in the way of my own fears, and sometimes I'm generally busy. I've got to spend time with my family, and I do like to get the right balance as well of not, this is where my therapist comes in, not, teaching, and which I love helping people, but, for this being a compulsive behavior of just doing live streams every day. So sometimes I need a balance, and I'm sure all of you do as well. It's not healthy to be on my videos every single day, unless it's really helping you, and then eventually you want to come away and live your life. No, you're right. Yeah, I will do that actually. You know what? I will start to notify people. My bad. It's just that I don't always know when I'm going to go live, because I've got so many other things that I'm working on. So yeah, I will post up in the community section. I might even go live this evening if I've got time. I'm going to see whether I might meet friends or watch I think there might be some football on. But I'll definitely be going live. If it's not today, later on. Tomorrow I'm with a friend that we've made arrangements. Monday I've got my therapy. So either, Monday, it'll be soon enough, but maybe even later on I'll let all of you know in the community. But yeah, I appreciate everyone coming on. We'll end it there. Almost did an hour and a half, and good luck on your progress with your confidence, anxiety management, everything else. I'll speak to all of you soon, right? Have an awesome day. Bye.